My name is Matt Candland. I'm the borough manager for Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I've been serving there for about 5 years. Before that, I was a town manager in Sykesville, Maryland, which is in between Frederick and Baltimore. And one of the things someone asked me not too long ago, what was the difference between managing in Maryland and Pennsylvania? And I think the biggest difference is police management. And I think if I had to summarize it, Maryland does a much different, and I would say better job in this respect, in allowing local governments to control the expenditures they make on police. Whereas Pennsylvania, much of that is taken out of the hands of local governments. First, Maryland does not have collective bargaining, required, mandatory collective bargaining. So a local government can decide whether they want to recognize the local police union or not. Further, there's no required pension plan for police in Maryland. A local government could decide to offer a defined benefit. They could offer a defined contribution or no pension at all. That's entirely up to the local government. There's also, I think, and I don't know the exact number, but there's a relatively small number of police departments in Maryland that are actually unionized. I think most of them are not unionized. That in and of itself just makes a huge difference. In Pennsylvania, contrasting that with Maryland, Pennsylvania has Act 111. And Act 111 drives, in my opinion, drives everything when it comes to public safety expenditures. So number one, all police departments are unionized, and we have mandatory collective bargaining. And under Act 111, it goes to an arbitrator. So anytime we have a disagreement with our police department, particularly with in the case of expenditures, the local government can't decide that question. It goes to an arbitrator. And that arbitrator, we know that in Pennsylvania that it's slanted towards the police departments because they get to, the way they choose the arbitrator, who pays for the arbitrator, how transparent the proceedings of the arbitration process are. All of those things are slanted in favor of the police and fire departments. So you go into arbitration already kind of at a disadvantage. And the result is most decisions go against the local governments. So just as a couple examples, I think we all probably have heard of the Pittsburgh case recently where the Pittsburgh Police Department, I don't know all the facts, but what I understand the facts are is that Pittsburgh Police Department had a approximately 100-year tradition of requiring their police officers to live within the city limits. Then just recently, within the last 5 years or so, they went out to a referendum with their residents asking if they wanted to continue that. And the residents said yes, they wanted to require their police officers to live within the city limits. Well, they went to interest arbitration on other matters, and an arbitrator who came from outside of the city, unelected, overturned that and decided that the residency requirement was no longer applied, and it went all the way up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and they ruled in favor of the police department, which I think is probably the correct decision because Act 111 says the arbitrator is pretty much supreme. Now, how does this affect Carlisle? Again, just as by way of reference, in 1999, the median household income in Carlisle was about $46,000. The average base salary for a Carlisle police officer in 1990 was $38,000. So $46,000 to $38,000. 15 years later, the median household income in Carlisle is $58,000 in 2014. $58,000 for police officers, $64,000. So what happened is during that time frame, the average resident in Carlisle, his or her salary, the household income went up from 46 to 58, or 24%. The police salary went up 64%. And you ask yourself, well, how did the police department salaries go up almost 3 times that of a resident? Well, it's Act 111. You get these cumulative decisions that arbitrators make where police officers are getting 2 and 3 and 4% COLAs every year. That's above and beyond their step increases. Well, most residents in Pennsylvania are not seeing 2 and 3 and 4% COLAs when the CPI is only 1 or 2%. So Act 111, I would say, is the biggest difference between managing in Maryland and Pennsylvania. The bottom line, I think, if I were to summarize Act 111 and the problem I see with it, is that ultimately it's extremely undemocratic. The local government doesn't have the ability, the elected officials don't have the ability to make decisions on how their public safety dollars are spent. Ultimately, if the police disagree, it goes to an arbitrator and takes it completely out of the hands of the local government.